According to some estimates, over $1 billion in royalty payments could be lost to fraud every single year. Now, for context, the global revenue of the music industry in the year 2022 was $26.2 billion. That means that if $1 billion of revenue is fraudulent, 4% of global music revenue is effectively stolen from artists who are doing it above board. Now, of that $26.2 billion in global music revenue, 67% of that is from streaming alone. In 2022, streaming revenue accounted for $17.5 billion in global revenue. So again, if $1 billion of that $17.5 billion is fraudulent, that means 6% of global streaming revenue is, once again, in effect, stolen from artists who are doing it the right way. Now, the music industry as a whole has really started to recognize that this is a big systemic problem, not just for the little guy, but for everybody. The German music industry, or the BVMI, has set its sights on, quote, curbing streaming manipulation and streaming fraud. They say these issues are a central concern for the music business due to their distortion of the chart ranking and or influencing of royalty payments. Similarly, in France, they have also published what appears to be a, quote, first ever national analysis of streaming fraud. In the United States, the outline of a fraud mitigation proposal is circulating among several distributors, publishers, and streaming platforms, while the annual music business conference in Nashville will feature not one, but 3 panels on the topic. Everybody agrees this is an issue. According to France's Ministry of Culture, they have found that 1 to 3% of streams in the country were fraudulent in 2021. If that number holds true, that would mean that $175 million to $525 million in streaming royalties are being stolen from artists every single year. But of course, that's just one estimate. According to the streaming app Deezer, they report that about 7% of the streams on their platform are fraudulent every single year. Some estimates put this as high as 10%. This is a global problem that is affecting all of us who are releasing music on platforms, all the way from Tom DuPree here on this YouTube channel, all the way up to Drake and Taylor Swift. Because the way that streams are paid out is not directly to the artist. Every single dollar that every platform earns, for the most part, from advertising revenue, premium subscription tier revenue, and everything else, is dumped into one pot. And then that pot is divided up according to the percentage of streams that each individual artist got within that time period. If Spotify makes $500 million and Drake gets 25% of the streams, then he gets 25% of that pie. But if somebody comes in and they generate a ton of fake streams, their percentage of the pie goes up and Drake's percentage of the pie goes down. So does mine and so does yours, which means they are effectively taking money out of all of our collective pockets by cheating the system. And of course, there are various ways to do this. Some of the more common methods are uploading an unauthorized remix of a viral single, boosting play counts by streaming music through a hacked Spotify account, or my favorite one, creating a bot network to drive streams. This last method is the method that is most commonly used in platforms that you and I might use to promote our music. Whenever you see a package that says, we'll deliver 500,000 streams for $500, more often than not, that is made up of a bot network that is a ton of dummy Spotify accounts hosted on an Amazon server somewhere around the world or something similar. Now, if you're an independent artist like me, this won't sound too unfamiliar to you. In fact, when we all get started, we're all testing all kinds of different stuff to market our music and try to grow our fan base. Every single one of us has probably gone through the process of, whether intentionally or not, buying fake streams. I'm sure for most of us, it's an accident. We go to a website that we think looks legit. We buy a promotional package for a few $100. We get a bunch of streams. And then ultimately we realize that all of these streams were in fact fake because of the data that we see on the other side of that. But as it turns out, it's not just the independent artists who are doing this. Every level of the music business has been employing this strategy for years to either just generate more streams and make more revenue and earn a bigger piece of the royalty pie, or to move a song up the charts so that it goes viral. This is a system that very obviously can be hacked, and people have figured out a way to do it. The issue, of course, is that it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. it comes at the expense of everybody else. I'm not going to be one to guilt trip you. This is not my move. It's not my style to try to come down on you like as the moral authority on whether or not you should pay for streams. I personally don't think you should, but it needs to be said quite frankly that if you do pay for fake streams, you are stealing money from other people. It's not music marketing. You are absolutely stealing money from the pockets of other artists. Okay, so the music business has recognized that this is a big problem. So what are they doing to stop it? Well, as you might imagine, they are moving rather slow on the matter because the music industry as a whole is very reactionary and not proactive enough, at least in my opinion. Now, it has been put forth that the music business creates some sort of a monitoring, prevention, detection, mitigation, and enforcement system at the level of the financial industry, both a third-party company that can monitor all the services, as well as a department at each service with full resources. The issue, of course, is whether or not all of the streaming distributors, record labels, and streaming platforms will all get on board and share their data. And therein lies the rub. Now, the most up-to-date information we have on this does include data from Spotify, which fortunately is the biggest streaming platform in the world. But it is missing data from the likes of Apple Music, YouTube, and Amazon, which account for a little over 35% of global streaming subscriptions. So not everybody is on board with combating this together as a team. And until that happens, this sort of thing is likely to continue. So hopefully the music industry as a whole can get on the same page and realize that this is a problem that is sort of robbing us blind, and we need to all collectively do something about it. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper on this topic, I will leave a link to this article from the video in the description below. And at the end here, if you want to learn a little bit more about how I personally market my music using Facebook ads, you can check out this video right here. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.